Week 9, it's the semi-final and it's 1920s week. I am making the pattern challenge today, these +4s in a woolen fabric. I found a pattern, thought it was going to work, didn't work, so I ended up self-drafting the entirety of this. I don't think it's exactly the same as the one they've used, but the processes are the same and the number of pattern pieces are, so I've tried to keep it as authentic as I could. Now I think I have picked a fabric which is very much akin to what Kit ended up using. However, these trousers have got some wonderful details in them. So what you can see I'm currently doing is adding these pocket facings. So we can use a lighter fabric for the pockets. We pop these facings on over the top so that that fabric isn't seen from the outside. It's totally hidden. And it's a lovely detail and it's found commonly on trousers. And then we move into this fly zip. Now I love a fly zip. I think it's a wonderful set of processes and it's so satisfying when it comes out and looks good. And then these also contain some lovely pleats and some darts. So lots of lovely ways for the judges to judge them. Kit not listening to fabric recommendations by the judges was what it was. The check fabrics with no pattern matching happening. I get that it's not a challenge where you feel like you've got enough time for that, but don't pick a check fabric. If that's the case, it always has to be pattern matched. And then we had our transformation challenge, our polo tops to colour blocked garment. They were given 5 tops, so a reasonable amount of fabric, and there were some really interesting approaches to it. Nothing hugely groundbreaking from my opinion, but some interesting ways of looking at the challenge. And I think a nice bit of levity to break up an otherwise quite stressful week. Because we then move into our made to measure, an outfit for a specific event in the 1920s. Now this really forced them to pick a narrative and a design idea rather than just making a generic silhouette. But let me interrupt myself as I grade these seams, because it's not just about cutting them back, it's about changing the layers so you don't get one solid change in bulk. Now there was an awful lot of satin and chiffon, which are challenging fabrics to sew. So I thought it was absolutely genius what Yaz had produced, enabling her to work in a twill, having that bit of stability in the fabric, even with the amount of sewing that she had to do, not having to fiddle and faff around with fabrics that drape and hang like that will have made her life easier. She made such a good tactical choice at that point. It was such a worthy garment of the week. But who went home was tight between Kit and Kaz. It could have gone the other way, but I think that self-drafting on such a tricky silhouette was just where the undoing happened. Add that to a little bit of overconfidence when it came to these trousers, and unfortunately what was done was done. But as we talk about what's done, my +4s are done. Now I think I drafted these a little bit short. I measured my inside leg 4 inches lower than my knee, but I think they should have billowed a little bit more down there. But I think they've come out really well. The information, of course, you're all after. These took me 3 hours from start to finish in a 5-hour challenge, so plenty of time from my perspective. I've now just got to figure out how to style them and where I'd wear a pair of these sorts of trousers.